Right? So they're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anger, frustration, sadness, sometimes forgiveness. These are things that you might feel towards a person that is put to the death or death penalty, which is the capital punishment by our criminal justice system. The death penalty is described by Webster Dictionary as a sentence that is given to a guilty, convicted person where they are put to death. But the real question is, does it do justice? I don't think it does. A person that is convicted and put to death simply dies, and that does not do justice to me at all. Once they die, they don't have time to think about what they have done. I think people that are sentenced to death, to the death penalty, should be instead given a harsher punishment. But the real question is, what do y'all think? How do you feel about it? Today I'm going to talk to you about the death penalty and give you some more concrete reasons why you should oppose it. Like I mentioned, the death penalty does not do anything for anybody, in my opinion. I can't say I feel any remorse for a person that, an example, has raped and murdered a child and then they are put in the death penalty sentence. For such cases like these, I think that they should just simply get punished harder. They should serve more harsher sentences and be in a maximum security place where they won't have time to do anything. They won't have a life. But beyond this, there is cases where people are convicted wrongfully. An example, the Houston Chronicle reported back in January 2011 of a man named Anthony Gates. He spent 18 years in prison, and many of them on death row, and he was later found innocent on a murder conviction. Can you imagine how many cases there is out there of innocent people that are convicted wrongfully and then are sentenced to the death penalty, and then they actually put them to death? Fortunately, there is scientific evidence that has come about and that is helping with this problem. So in proposal, I think that we should seek other ways of punishment. Alternatives like the life without parole sentence. The life without parole sentence is given usually for murder and is a maximum sentence for several other harsh crimes that are committed by criminals. A sentence where the person is committed to the crime, to such a crime, would have time to think if they are sentenced to life without parole. But I know what you might think. This person will still be alive and they will still be doing something with their life. Most likely a criminal life. But I'm referring to life without parole in a maximum security prison. There they wouldn't have any time for life. They'd only have time to think what they've done, to repent, and so that they would not go out in the world hurting other people. Not only would it do that, but it would also save our economy a lot of money. Most people think that the death penalty is a lot cheaper than keeping a person for 25 years in prison instead of, like I said, putting them to death. But they're wrong. A man named Carver Logan said that it can cost up to $1.2 million from the moment they're indicted, from the moment where the person convicted is indicted till they are put down to death, versus a convict that can be kept alive and serve their sentence through, which can start from $3,000 up to $200,000. In the years 2009, 2010, the state of Texas reported 41 death penalties that were served. This, if you calculate it, can be a lot of money. In Joanne Brent Guernsey's book, Death Penalty for Is It Fair Solution or More Fair, she states a report from a victim's child that they look for some sort of closure from the death penalty. But I remind you, how can you feel closure when the person convicted isn't really suffering? And on top of that, it's costing a lot of money for us to put these people to death. If they are kept alive and they have time to think about what they've done, they at least can repent from what they've done and learn their lesson. Joe Masterly states in his article in balancedpolitics.org that the death penalty creates a sympathy for the monstrous perpetrators of the crimes. With all the information that I've given you today, what do you think of the death penalty now? Do you really think it's worth it? Does it do justice for the victims? And what if the person is innocent? And what if they're not? Should they receive a more harsh punishment for the crime they have committed? Should the criminal justice system seek alternatives like life without parole? I think so. Some people are innocent, some are not. The fact is, putting the guilty ones to death doesn't do justice. It can't be justice. It can't be justice to have to pay millions of dollars to have somebody put to death and not really think about the crime they committed.